2015, I guess. Yes. And the first thing I said, I don't need all these things. What do I need it for? Why are you getting me involved in this? And he said, if you don't need it, I need it. Do it for my business. If you don't, if you let this man climb, if Buhari climbs, I will blame you because you didn't even make an attempt. You didn't try. We're talking about my business. I'm an importer, I'm an exporter. And the graces of even exporting what you want, or the limits at which you want to go, you want to be unlimited in your business. But this society has shrinked us in such a way that because everybody is majority of Nigerians are so devoted in waiting for tips, for someone to dash you money. In fact, I feel very irritated when people try to give me tips because it makes me small. It's like the person is trying to buy me over. And if majority of the youth will have this mentality of let's advance to the what is tips? Like it's yes, I know that yeah, money can change things at that particular point in time, but can it fix you? Can it really fix you? And then the end SARS thing. I think I was at my friend's place. I was hearing the whole gunshot. We were scared. We were thinking the building was going to come down. This was really so scary. My phone got stolen. There was no means of transportation. I entered an Uber that very day. The Uber guy dropped me on the road and said to me that he can't go further. There was no means. People were trekking and running on the road. I looked left, I looked right. I couldn't even figure out what next to do or what is right for me to do. Before I know it, there was a bus, and this bus was free. So it was like a one chance thing. You don't have a choice than to take it. And then at the end of the day, after getting in on the bus, I didn't even know that these guys were just kidnappers and criminals. They stole my phone and pushed me off the road and carried some children. Only God heaven knows what must have happened to them or if they even survived it. But the most important thing is, what we forget is that no matter how far you run away, you're definitely going to run back. I have never envied anybody living in diaspora, to be honest. I've never envied anyone living in diaspora. Yes, I would admire people living there. But the truth is, what does it give you? Does it give you this joy or this pleasure of knowing that? Does it give you pleasure of knowing that, what are you coming back to? I want a better Nigeria. Like, I would rather pray for Nigeria to advance than to run away. Because I have siblings that live abroad. But when you talk to them, they'll tell you they want to come home. They want to come because the power, the right you have as a Nigeria is your power. How can you be in your country and then you're living like a slave? It's about time people start to develop that way of reasoning. I'm tired of being a slave. I have a voice. I want to be expressive. I don't want to be thinking of running. I would rather dream of going for holiday in different places. But this is my home. This is where my ancestors were built. This is where my parents live. If I really don't know if I'm talking too much or I don't even know the right words to use right now. But this whole thing is making me cry. Let's just forget social media. Let's forget the lies people put out there for us to think they are living a flashy life or they have it all. But the truth of the whole thing is the things they even do to get what they want. It's easier when you have your PVC and you have a good foundation. Lay your foundation now. Lay your foundation for a better tomorrow so that when that tomorrow come, you won't be thinking of doing the worst things to get crazy money that will not even benefit you in any way. Then the next thing you start to sell your soul to a politician or you sell your soul to some party and you become a slave under them and they tell you you cannot breathe or you cannot live without them. I think I'm going to stop here before I start to shed tears because it's high time. It's high time we all wake up and own our power and own that thing that we say we have. We are powerful. That's the thing. You need to see beyond that. I'm tired of being a slave. And that's why I'm getting my PVC. My advice to everyone out there and to everyone listening to me, if you're not tired of being a slave, I'm dead tired. I want to see a change. The change that I see abroad, it can happen here. There's no difference. We even have more advantage than they do. That's what we don't know. We have more advantage. Let's take 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 chances, make use of this advantage, because you don't know when this opportunity will come again. Thank you so much. I think I'll just hit the mic here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amaka, for that very emotional submission. And I agree with you. No matter where you go around the world, home will always be home. So it's better for us to elect good leaders to make our homes comfortable for us to be able to come back. Thank you once again. Hi, Joel. Are you there now? Right. So I'm going to move over
Sorry,
to.
I hope you don't mind. Is it possible for me to just drop my points and leave because I'm about to step out of the house, please?
I'm really sorry we have a queue. If you can stay on for a few more minutes, I think I'm going to pass the mic around over to you. Thank you.
No.
Hi, hi Lolo. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm well. Thank you for having me, and thank you to everyone for sharing your stories. Honestly, this is the first time I joined this space. I don't even know what it is. I was just go scrolling through, and I joined in, and I am so glad that I did. Thanks for being so vulnerable. Um, for me, I think if when I get the question of what have I lost since 2015, I think the answer will be I've just lost hope. And I don't even want to get emotional. Is that if you don't have hope, you're like a dead man walking, and it's that is the most painful part because I can talk about the physical, the emotional, the things that I've lost. This person died or I went through this situation. But when you are mentally incapacitated, it affects your worldview. You just see yourself just like the last speaker said, like a slave, and it's so daunting. Even if I don't live in the country anymore, I talk to my younger sisters who are the ones just coming under us. She's 18 and the other one is 13. She came back from university. I think she schools in Benelser. And when she got home, she just kept sending me messages that she's dealing with panic attacks. She has anxiety. That every time she's home, she has anxiety. She doesn't understand. And when we start talking, we realize is that it's because she's in Nigeria, she's in Lagos. The place feels hopeless. There's no light, there's no gen, there's no water. You can't have friends because there's traffic. You can't go anywhere. You don't have a life. You don't have a life. Then I talked to my other sister who is 13, and because they have access to social media, I think that we even forget that the other generation, this is their foundation has just been suffering, and they have access to social media. They're seeing what their peers in other countries are doing via their TikTok and all that, and it just makes them feel hopeless. The learned helplessness that they feel, just talk. It's so painful that because I'm thinking about, oh, I can hustle, like at least I'm grown up. I can even think about Jackpa, or from here I can go to another country. I can kind of create a trajectory of how maybe I'll be earning in dollars. It can profit me. But these are people who are like, they don't even have that kind of agency yet. They cannot say they are hustling. They're stuck in the system, and they have to go through that in their formative years. It's so painful because I don't even know what the solution is. I know that voting the right person is one step in the right direction, but the if you start to talk about the issues, it's so, I don't know, the fundamental nature, the fundamental transaction of Nigeria. It's just, I think the moral fiber in the country is just broken. Now, even before we start talking about infrastructure, just the way the average Nigerian thinks, corruption is normal. Even me, I have to even admit, like just growing up there are things that when I come here and I say, they look at me like, what the hell is wrong with you? I'm like, no, like that's hustle. You gotta do, like, I don't see it's part of, but it's when you leave that you realize that you're even conditioned to accept corruption, suffering, the hustle, the thriving as part of normal life. So for me, this is just my submission. I don't want to start going into my personal life, but just the way it even affects you mentally, psychologically, it diminishes the way you see yourself, And by doing that, it diminishes the success that you think you are worth of. So that's just, please, if you have people to go and vote, I'm begging you people, please. I don't want to live abroad. I keep telling my friends and people around that I don't see myself ever living abroad. I don't want to live with white people. I want to live home. I want to live at home. But I cannot live at home if home does not have the fundamental basics that I need to survive as a human being. I'm not going to put myself through that. But we traveled and trying to hustle, and it's so lonely in the other place because this is not home. So please, if you are home, you go and vote the right person so that we can have a community. All our families are all traveling. We are scattered. Father is in one country, the mother is here, the three sons. This is not a family. This is not a community. This is not how people function. This is not how we are naturally meant to function. And it is messing with us. So please, that is just my submission. Thank you for giving me the chance to speak.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lolo, for your submission. And yeah, don't just vote the right candidate. So I'm gonna pass the mic over now to Prince. Hello, Prince. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I've been here for since yesterday.
Oh,
Uh, I would
thank
say
you
it's a
so much.
wonderful experience.
Oh, thank you for
So,
your patience. So you've got 3 minutes.
I left school 2016 because of ABSU and because of how they treat lecturers in my state. I'm from Abia State. They don't pay lecturers. So I have to stay 1 year at home before I went to service. After service, I have to come back home. Then I got a job. I'm a surveyor, study surveying. Then we will have to do internship for some time before we got registered as a surveyor. But things was rosy from 2019 and life was even good and hopeful. But life got worse in 20 this year in 2022. By March is when the inflation got high and still grinding and grinding and grinding. Right now, if I get my salary, I will spend everything within a week to get food stuff and other things. Then the remaining days in the month, you just have to hope on God to survive. But the life was very, 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 very hard. That like the family have just decided that it's like someone have to travel out from the country so that it can assist the rest of us. That everybody will not be dying abject poverty in Nigeria. That it's better we conclude a plan that someone have to leave to save others. Like we have to sell a family land so that I will try and get out. But I'm still hopeful. I've been hopeful about Nigeria and like working hard, getting my license, practicing in Nigeria as a surveyor. But since Wednesday, when I get into Twitter and see some tweets and other things like the tribalism and the ethnicity and religious and everything, man, the whole thing got me pissed off. Like it's not going to get better. It's like things not going to work. We see some people coming up with tribalism, people that participated in answers because of someone that is coming from their tribe, or it's because of the most competent person is coming from the tribe they don't like. They are not beginning to betray the trust of other Nigerians. They are not beginning to backslide because maybe person that is most competent is coming from the tribe they don't like. So I didn't see a Nigerian that will work with this kind of mentality. So right now I keep encouraging people. Like today I went for a workout. So someone was telling me, the guy I went with, he told me that he doesn't think the election will hold and this blah 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 blah. I told him you have to get your PVC, you have to do your part. I'll keep encouraging people to do their part. But right now, the kind of things I'm seeing, if I'm in Nigeria, before the election period, I'll vote. But I just pray we should do better. We should stop all this tribalism. We should stop all this hate. We should stop it because this has been the tool that the politicians has been using to divide us. So right now, my brother, if we don't do better, my hope is on Japa. I'm done. I'm done with this country. Thank you. I pray it get better.
Thank you, Prince. I'm gonna pass the mic over now to Ify Monique, and then we turn around and give it to Capt Niger. Hello, Ify. How you doing today?
Hi everyone. I'm doing okay. It's been really emotional for me listening to people, especially Peace and Amaka, because their stories just bring back stories for me. Like Nigeria happened. In fact, Nigeria started happening to me since 2002. Um, my siblings and I lost our parents because they were in an accident, and unfortunately, doctors were on strike. So they couldn't be attended to, and then they lost their life. I have a sister who um my younger sister doesn't even know what has no memories, you know. And this is 20 something years down the line, we're still having the same problems. Doctors going on strike, working for months without pay, just the same old. I remember back then being on a trip with my dad, and we had gone to the petrol station for fuel, and I think then fuel had been increased to 22 naira, and then he was complaining. And sometimes I just sit back with the increment in fuel, and I just giggle, and I'm like, he complained for 22 naira, what would he have been doing today? Nigeria just has a way of happening to you. You see people trying to do things legitimately. How do you work for a government for 24 months, for goodness sake? There's no salary. The coming election is a do or die affair. I don't care what anybody says. You know, it's just so disappointing that after the togetherness we experienced during the NSAS, when the bullets came, he didn't ask who was Yoruba or Igbo or Hausa. He didn't. There were no tribes. It's crazy that after being in that space, now we even have hope. Now we even have somebody who has a track record to show that. Because I went to school in the East, and I remember vividly then in the early 2000s, you're going to Enugu, for example. We were students will always have load, and then you the seat you're going to sit on is 400 naira, but then you have to pay like 1,002 for your bags. Why? Because they were park chairmen who the money was going to, you know and you couldn't even fight it because you saw how defeated and helpless the driver was. Like in your very before, they are taking the money. This person doesn't have a car. He's not going to fuel the vehicle for the driver, but he's taking more than the driver. And then Peter Obi was able to put a stop to these things, you know and then I can't believe I was just early this morning I saw the nonsense. Dino Melaya tweeted that what's his name, Atiku is going to be a good president because he married from um the major tribes. What sort of ridiculousness is that? These people don't rate us, and for me it's the helplessness involved. The helplessness that something happens to you and you don't get justice. There's no recourse to anything. you know how do you open your mouth to spew such nonsense, to say that somebody is competent because he married? Like, I don't understand. You don't have any track record to show, to say, okay, this is what this man stands for. How do you want to be president when you're even away from the problem? How do we expect fairness? These are the things we should be looking out for. And I'm begging everybody. Something very fundamental one of the speakers says is, it's not about us, the enlightened ones. Yes, we make a good number, but then the people in the market. Why should the woman selling tomato know who, why should the woman selling tomato not know who Peter Obi is? These are the people also who are going to vote. These are the people also who the policies affect. They need to understand these things. They need to understand it's not about the educated ones.
Sorry, Ify, are you done?
Please, down to the person who is selling pepper, you know. So I think that's a good angle to come from. I'm sorry for everyone who has gone through one thing or the other, but I want us to take our pain as a fuel, you know, to use it as a fuel, as a drive, because we just have to get it right. Two of my siblings relocated last year, and for me it had never been in my plans. But when I look about the helplessness every day, I'm beginning to consider it. But then again, I'm like, okay, what? Yes, if I'm able to, am I going to take my mom? Am I going to take my dad? Am I going to take up my grandma? What about my cousins? What about my friends? So even if you as a person has the money, what about your loved ones? Would they able to? Are they also able to japa like you? And if the answer
Um,
is in the negative,
I'm really sorry, Ify. Please, can you land in 30
yeah,
seconds? Thank you.
I'm rounding up. And if the answer is in the negative, it goes to show you that we, like, it's a do or die affair. Basically, that's what all I'm going to say. And kudos to everyone who has been doing one thing or the other in support of the P2B movement. More grease to your elbow, and I pray that he really becomes president. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ify. So I'm gonna pass the mic over to Capt Niger. Capt Niger, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, you've got 3 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy weekend. Hope everybody is having a cool weekend. Okay, I will just make 3 points real quick. The first one is the question of what have I lost. I feel being in Nigeria, I've basically lost my mental health. I've been taught to accept abnormal for normal. I've been taught to question everything that the society or the political class throws at me. Basically, just not normal, basically. So the mental health, and there was a point that Lolo made, which is very, very true. The fact that so many families are scattered all around the world. All my family members, the siblings I grew up with, none of them is in the same country with me. We're all scattered all around the world. And it doesn't make sense because I, being coming from a communal society, there is a lot of there's an effect you get when you realize that your community isn't there. Loneliness is something that everybody deals with, but man, it's not easy when your family isn't there. So on those two aspects, I'll make the second point, which is on the classification of the political class as the village people. I mean, growing up in Nigeria, we all know about this concept of village people that are in the village that are basically trying to bring you down and all that. But I've had time to really think about things, and I realized that the idea of a village person is basically an individual group of people that may not necessarily be in from your village. They may not necessarily be the enemy that is just by your side, but they can also be the people that are ruling you. In the sense that the political class, they definitely do not want the best for Nigeria. Let's be frank with ourselves. It's all about selfish interest. And their actions are weighing the average person down. Just imagine for 8 years, wasted 8 years of our lives. So I feel that is a better classification of village people as the individuals that do not wish you well. And we Nigerians seem to see these people as not leaders. They are not leaders. They are just human beings like us that have been given institutional powers. And we need to take that institutional powers from them. We need to break it down because they may think they are strong, but we are stronger. That's why I keep pushing for this whole Peter Obi narrative. Even if, yes, I believe that, or rather, I know that Peter Obi will not turn Nigeria to Dubai in the next 4 or 8 years. I mean, it's impossible. But it's a starting point. So I want everybody to see this whole Peter Obi movement as a very big, and pardon my French here, but a very big fuck you to APC and PDP because they do deserve it. Let's even say, for example, now that we bring about the third force. The third force also brings about a psychological, or rather a mentality in our political environment that, oh yeah, there are three political parties that can bring about change, or rather that are competitive. And we all know in business wise, competition brings about productivity, or rather is very, very good for every economy. So why don't we imbibe that in our politics, in our political environment? Push for an environment in which APC, I hope they die down later in the future, but APC as a party realize the fact that things are changing. PDP does the same thing too. Even Labour Party now, if Peter Obi, or rather when by God's grace Peter Obi gets power, he will realize the fact that these people pushed for me. I cannot disappoint them because the way I got their votes, the way I got their love, I can easily get their anger. It will tend to make these people buckle up. So don't be.
Are you mad?
Um,
What about the rest people
Sorry?
that are not calling them as a candidate? The Edo State, the
Hello?
yeah, I'm
No, okay.
sorry,
No
ugly.
problem.
Yeah,
Sorry, no
please,
problem.
Captain, can you land in 30 seconds? Thank you.
Okay. So finally my point is I want to use Tinubu for example. Um there is this concept of, I'm sure most of you have read about allegory of the cave, which I believe that Tinubu supporters, they are very spot on in calling themselves bats and all that nonsense. Now, in Allegory of the Cave, Plato brought about this idea of two individuals in society, whereby the first group of individuals, okay, basically the idea is they're all in a cave, and then there are two groups of people. The first one decides to leave the cave. Now, those ones that decide to leave the caves, he described them as the enlightened ones, the ones that they want a different environment outside where they are used to. They do not want to be pushed or be oppressed by the, or no, they do not want, they see themselves as having an opportunity outside that environment of a cave, because they do not see it as being enlightened. So they want to leave. And then the second aspect is those people that want to stay in the cave, which are individuals that do not want change. They like the fact that they are where they are. They like that environment of normalcy, or that environment of stagnancy. That is why I feel that the whole aspect of Tinubu supporters calling themselves bats, because who are the people, which animal do we all know likes living in a cave, which is a bat? So when you're dealing with these people, like someone rightly said, if they give you violence online, give them violence with facts. Tell them that your candidate cannot hold a flag. Your candidate is pooping on himself. He's peeing on himself. Your candidate is this, is that. My candidate, Peter Obi, he has done this, he has done that, he has done this. If you don't want to come out of your cave, then go fuck yourself. Simple. Give them the violence, because these guys, they are ready to draw down. They are scared, knowing the fact that there's a political change, and we need to keep pushing that political change and fear in their hearts. I yield the mic.
Okay, thank you, Captain Niger.